So I need to talk about something that has been living rent-free in my head since the Season 3 finale of From dropped. Because here is the thing about this show, it is not like other horror shows. From does not chase you with jump scares, it traps you, it puts you in a town that looks normal, wraps barbed wire around you, and then just watches you panic, season after season. And for 3 seasons, we have been asking the same question. Who is pulling the strings? Who is the puppet master? Who built this nightmare, and why does it keep running? The Season 3 finale finally answered that. Sort of. We got a face, a yellow suit, a voice that ripped out Jim Matthews' throat like it was nothing, and a whole new set of questions that are somehow more terrifying than the ones we started with. But what if I told you that this character, the man in yellow, is not actually new? What if he has been hiding in the background the entire time, right in front of us? That is exactly what we are getting into today. The identity, the theories, the Season 4 confirmation, and what it all means for where this show is headed. Let's go. Let's set the table before we go deep. The man in yellow, officially credited as the man in the yellow suit and played by Douglas E. Hughes, makes his physical debut at the very end of the Season 3 finale. And when I say very end, I mean the last few minutes of the last episode of a 3-season run. That is a long time to build toward a single appearance. When he shows up, he is standing in the daylight. That detail matters. Every monster we have seen in this town operates at night. They hide from the sun, they obey the rules of this place. The man in yellow does not. He walks freely in broad daylight and does it with the energy of someone who owns the building. So this is not a character who was written in Season 3 to wrap things up. This is a character who has been quietly orchestrating events from the very beginning. The show just did not show his face until now. That alone is unsettling enough, but there is more. One of the most overlooked pieces of setup in this entire show is Victor's mother, Miranda. Early in Season 3, Tabitha visits the home of Victor's father, Henry, in the real world. While she is there, she discovers that Miranda, Victor's mother, was making paintings years before the family ever arrived in the town. The paintings show the town, the children, the boy in white, specific locations. And among those paintings there is a man in a yellow suit. Miranda had never been to the town, she had not visited it, had no reason to know what it looked like, but she saw it in visions, and in those visions she painted the man in yellow. This means the man in yellow is not a recent development. He existed in this story long before Season 3. He was real enough that someone in the outside world was having prophetic dreams about him and capturing his image on canvas. Think about the implications of that. Miranda was painting a portrait of the main villain of this show while living a normal life, years before her family was swallowed up by the town. The man in yellow had already made some kind of contact with the world outside the loop, either through dreams, through psychic projection, or through something we do not yet understand. And then there is the other piece the Season 3 finale drops on us. Tabitha was Miranda in a previous life. She and Jade are reincarnated versions of 2 people who originally tried to stop the sacrifice of children in Fromville, which means the cycle has been running for a very long time, and the man in yellow has been running it. This is not a villain who appeared. This is a villain who has always been there. Here is the part that should genuinely make you nervous. The monsters in this town operate on a system. They come out at night. They are bound by rules. They are extremely dangerous, but they have limitations. The talismans keep them out. The daylight stops them. There are structures in place. The man in yellow has none of those limitations. He walks in the day. He kills in front of witnesses. He is aware of time travel, which means he either exists outside of linear time or he has seen enough cycles that nothing surprises him anymore. When time-traveling Julie shows up at the moment of her father's death, he is not confused. He is not threatened. He is amused. He also appears to have control over things inside the town that go beyond physical strength. There are moments in the show where structural collapses and sudden unconsciousness happen in ways that feel too specific to be random. The indication is that he can influence the environment of the town directly. He is not just a monster with a suit. He might be the mechanism that keeps the whole machine running. And then Season 4 reveals one more layer. He can change his physical form entirely. Not a disguise, not a mask, a full biological transformation into a different human being. He becomes Sophia, a new person, a new face, a new voice. He walks into town as the most innocent-looking character you can imagine, a sheltered pastor's daughter, and the residents just accept her. He killed the actual pastor quietly off to the side and nobody saw it. This is not a standard horror villain. This is something operating at a level of power that the show has never shown us before. And the fact that he chose to go undercover at all is the scariest part. because it means even he, with all of that power, prefers to work from inside rather than smash everything from the outside. There is a reason for that, and understanding that reason tells you a lot about what this town actually is. Alright, this is where things get layered, because a section of the fan base believes the man in yellow is not just an outside force. They believe he is, or will eventually be, someone we already know from the town, a resident who becomes the monster, a future version of a character we have been watching grow. Let me walk through the 4 main theories. Ethan Matthews. Ethan is a child. He is also described in the show's mythology as the storyteller. That title carries weight. Whoever controls the story controls the loop. And there are hints starting back in season 1 that the voices which drove Sarah to try to harm Ethan were targeting him specifically, not because he was a victim, but because of what he might become. The theory is that Ethan, at some future point, fully masters whatever power the storyteller role gives him and becomes the entity we see in the yellow suit. The version we are watching now is a child who does not yet understand what he is. The version at the end of the timeline is the man in yellow. It is a dark theory. It is the kind of thing From would absolutely do. And the fact that the show keeps Ethan nearby without fully explaining his role feels intentional. Randall was possessed by the music box monster back in season 2. That possession left a mark, literally. He has a scar on his face that fans have pointed out looks similar to a mark the man in yellow carries. Since that possession, Randall has been hearing things, specifically cicadas. Now here is the part that the theory leans into hard. Cicadas are a symbol of rebirth and immortality across multiple cultures. They disappear underground and emerge transformed, and the man in yellow is exactly that, an entity connected to immortality, to cycles, to rebirth. The monsters themselves were promised immortality. The man in yellow may be the one who made that promise. The show has kept Randall alive through situations where logically he should have died. He survived the music box possession. He survived being left to the monsters. The theory says that is not luck. The show is preserving him because his arc leads somewhere specific, and that somewhere is the yellow suit. Victor has been in this town the longest of anyone we have met. He arrived as a child and has lived through multiple cycles of the same horror. He has watched everyone he loved die repeatedly. He has seen the town reset. He knows things nobody else knows, and he barely talks about most of it. The theory here is that Victor is slowly being broken, that there is a version of Victor further down the timeline who finally breaks completely, who has seen enough death and enough loss that something inside him inverts. And in that inversion, he becomes the thing that was running the town all along. Victor's arc has always had a strange gravity to it. He is the person who knows the most and does the least with it. Some fans read that as trauma, others read it as someone who already knows the outcome. Jade and the Bottle Tree. This one is the wildest but also kind of the most structurally elegant. The show has already established that the bottle tree can summon. It can pull people across time. We have seen future Julie appear because of what happened at the bottle tree. The theory is that the man in yellow's first appearance, his opening lines, and the specific way he seems to know exactly what Jade has been doing, all point to a connection with Jade that goes beyond observation. Some fans believe Jade is the man in yellow, that a future version of Jade was summoned by his own past self playing the lullaby, that the entity we see in season 3 is what Jade becomes after enough cycles of this place hollow him out and fill him with something else. Jade has already discovered he is a reincarnation of someone who tried to stop the original sacrifice. What if in a different cycle, a different version of that same soul did not try to stop it? What if he joined it instead? Here is what season 4 has already done, and it changes the conversation significantly. The man in yellow is now Sophia, not metaphorically. Literally, he physically transformed himself into a young woman, staged a car accident, fooled the entire township, and walked right into the middle of their daily lives. He killed the real pastor quietly and left no evidence. The residents welcomed Sophia. They showed her the talismans. They explained the rules. They trusted her immediately. And while Kenny is giving her the safety tour, explaining how the talismans work, Sophia nearly touches one. She stops herself. But the fact that she can walk past those talismans without consequence raises a question the show has not answered yet. What exactly are those talismans protecting against? Because if the man in yellow can walk through town freely in daylight in any form he chooses, the talismans are either not built to stop him, or they work on a principle nobody fully understands yet. Before he kills the pastor, the man in yellow tells him something that functions as a mission statement for season 4. He says that his favorite part, what comes next, is when the residents tear themselves apart. He is not planning another monster attack. He is planning an inside job. He wants to manufacture distrust among people who are already on the edge. He wants them to destroy each other so he does not have to do it. That is a specific kind of evil. It is not brute force. It is psychological warfare using a face nobody suspects. The actress playing Sophia, Julia Doyle, talked about her approach to the role. She said she wanted to make sure that when she was being Sophia, she was fully being Sophia, not an AI version of innocence, not a cliché villain wearing a human mask. She used 2 different perfumes on set, one piney and dark for the man in yellow scenes, one sweet for the Sophia scenes. Small detail, but it tells you how much thought went into the layering of this character. The show is also being smart about pacing. Season 4 confirmed Sophia's identity at the end of the first episode. That is a deliberate choice. The writers are not stretching out the mystery for the sake of it. They are telling you what you are dealing with early so you can watch it play out in real time, knowing something the characters do not. There is one more layer to this that the show is almost certainly pulling from, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The King in Yellow is a figure from classic horror mythology. He comes from a collection of horror fiction written in the 1890s and later got absorbed into the Lovecraftian mythology as Hastur, a being described as a great old one and the half-brother of Cthulhu. The King in Yellow is associated with madness, specifically the madness that comes from gaining forbidden knowledge. Now look at what the man in yellow says when he appears. Knowledge has consequences. He kills Jim because Jim and the group have uncovered something they were not supposed to uncover. The price of learning too much in this town is death or madness. That is straight out of the King in Yellow mythology. And the thing about Hastur specifically is that he is not a creature you fight. He is a principle. He is the embodiment of an idea, the idea that some truths destroy you just by being known. Fromville operates on exactly that mechanic. Every character who gets too close to understanding the town pays a devastating price. Jim paid with his life. Victor paid with his sanity. Tabitha is paying with the erosion of her hope. The show is likely not doing a direct adaptation of Lovecraft, but it is clearly pulling from the same well. The man in yellow is not just a villain with a plan. He may be the physical manifestation of what happens when curiosity meets a closed system that does not want to be understood. That reframes everything, because if he is a principle rather than just a person, then the fan theories about him being a future version of Ethan or Jade or anyone else might be asking the wrong question. Maybe it does not matter who he was. Maybe what matters is what he represents. And what he represents is the thing that keeps every loop running by punishing everyone who gets close enough to stop it. From has already confirmed Season 5 as the final season. That changes how you watch Season 4. Every piece of information is now a piece of a finite puzzle. The show has to answer things. It has to resolve the children. It has to resolve the time loop. It has to tell us what the town actually is and whether anyone can leave. The man in yellow is at the center of all of it. He built the system. He runs the cycles. He made the deal with the original settlers that created the monsters. He is why the children are trapped. He is why the loop keeps resetting. And now he is inside the town, wearing a face nobody suspects, preparing to make the residents self-destruct before anyone can get close enough to figure out how to stop him. And here is the question that Season 4 leaves hanging that I cannot stop thinking about. The man in yellow says this is his favorite part. He says it with genuine excitement. Whatever has happened in previous cycles, this specific configuration, these specific people, this particular moment in the loop is the part he enjoys most. Why? What is different about this cycle? Is it Julie's ability to storywalk? Is it Jade and Tabitha's proximity to the truth? Is it Ethan? Is it the fact that for maybe the first time, the people in this town are actually close to understanding the mechanism well enough to break it? If this is his favorite part, it might also be the part where he is most at risk. The part where he has to cheat. The part where just letting the monsters run their course is not enough anymore and he has to get his hands dirty from the inside. And that means the residents, even without knowing it, are closer to the exit than they have ever been. The man in yellow is not new. He has been in Miranda's paintings. He has been on the radio. He has been in the margins of every season. The show just spent 3 seasons building him up quietly enough that when he finally walked into frame in broad daylight, it hit like a truck. And now he is inside the walls, wearing the face of a pastor's daughter, planning the thing he loves most. If you are watching Season 4, you already know it is going to get worse before it gets better. That is the architecture of this show. That is the deal you signed when you decided to follow these characters into that town. But for the first time, we actually know who we are dealing with, and that is both terrifying and, if you are built the way I am built, deeply satisfying. Drop your theory in the comments. I want to know which one you believe. Ethan, Randall, Victor, Jade, or something none of us have figured out yet. Subscribe if you are as deep into this show as I am. There is more coming as Season 4 rolls out. See you in the next one.